By the name crystal field theory, we shall understand the original theory of Hans Bethe and John Hasbrouck van Vleck. That is the theory which does not consider the role played by the ligands further than to credit them with producing a steady crystalline field. Hans Bethe won the 1967 Nobel Prize in Physics for his work on the theory of stellar nucleosynthesis. He proposed crystal field theory in 1929 when he was just a 23 years old young man. First application of crystal field theory to chemistry was made by Van Vleck in 1930s. After that, he made most important contributions to crystal field theory. He extensively studied the magnetic properties of many coordination compounds and explained on the basis of crystal field theory. Van Vleck was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1977 for his contribution to the understanding of the behavior of electrons in magnetic solids. The development of crystal field theory was accelerated fast after the Second World War. After the Second World War, the development of spectrophotometer and the paramagnetic resonance techniques brought new life into the theoretical and experimental development of crystal field theory. Crystal field theory was popularized after 1950s. Crystal field theory is based on 4 assumptions. In the first assumption, ligands are considered as point negative charge or molecular dipole. The orbitals of ligands are not taken into consideration. A ligand may be an anionic basis or a neutral basis, and their sizes are differ in a wide ranges. In this assumption, anionic ligand is considered as a very small negative charge point, and a neutral ligand is considered as a very small molecular dipole, like this. Del plus is here and del minus is here. Ligands' valency orbitals, that is s, p, d orbitals, play no role in the complex formation. In the second assumption, the central metal ion is considered as a point positive charge, and its atomic orbitals are taken into consideration. In the most of the complexes, central basis is positively charged metal ion. In this assumption, it is considered as a small positive charge point, and its outer shell orbitals, that is s, p, d orbitals, are taken into consideration. These play significant roles in the prediction of properties of coordination compounds. In the third assumption, it is considered that the coordination compounds are formed by the electrostatic attraction between the point negative charge ligands and point positive charge metal ion, that is by the Coulombic attraction force between the ligands and the metal ion. In the case of neutral ligands, there is attraction between the del minus end of the molecular dipole of ligands and point positive metal ion. You have seen that valency bond theory gives the concept of coordination bond. But here, in crystal field theory, there is no concept of coordination bond. Only electrostatic attraction between the metal ion and the ligands. Fourth assumption states that the ligand-metal electrostatic interaction causes rearrangement of energy of the valency orbitals. Here, ligand-metal electrostatic interaction is called crystal field. The valency s, p, d orbitals of free metal ion, that is, in absence of crystal field, valency orbitals have distinct energy levels. In presence of crystal field, their energy changes. Look here. These are the 5 degenerate d orbitals of free metal ion. Degenerate means orbitals having same energy. In absence of crystal field, all the d orbitals have same energy, but in presence of crystal field, their degeneracy is lifted. In the octahedral crystal field, they split into two energy levels. This splitting of d orbitals of metal ion is the main foundation of crystal field theory, and this helps us to understand the properties of coordination compounds in the light of crystal field theory. Now, the big question is why the splitting occurs. Let's come more inside the crystal field theory. Splitting of metal orbitals depend on geometry of complex. Geometry of complex may be octahedral, tetrahedral, square planar, and many more. The splitting of metal valency orbitals are not same in octahedral geometry and tetrahedral geometry. Now consider the splitting of metal orbitals in octahedral field. In octahedral field, the energy of the central metal ion orbitals changes in two steps. Step 1. You know, ligands are considered as point negative charges. When the ligands approach to the free metal ion to form complex, then the point negative charge ligands generate spherical negative cloud around the metal ion. Again, the valency orbitals of free metal ions are also negative charge cloud because the electrons reside there. So, there are repulsion between the ligand's negative cloud and the orbitals of metal ion. As a result, the energy of the orbitals increases. Suppose the energy of the degenerate d orbitals is this in free metal ion, that is, where no ligand orbital repulsion, then in presence of spherical crystal field, the energy of d orbitals lifted here, but the degeneracy remains, that is, the energy of all d orbitals increases at the same extent. The spherical crystal field also called as isotropic field. Like d orbitals, the energy of p orbitals also increases in spherical crystal field, and the orbitals retain their degeneracy. In presence of spherical crystal field, the energy of s orbital also lifted from here to here. Hence, we can conclude that in spherical crystal field or isotropic field, energy of orbitals increases, but the degeneracy of the orbitals retained. Now, come to step 2. After the metal-ligand complex formation, the 6 ligands are placed at the 6 vertices of a octahedron. These all are octahedrons, and the ligands are placed at here, 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 and here. In this situation, some metal orbitals are facing the ligands directly, and some orbitals are far from the ligands. Look at these two pictures. The lobes of dz square and dx square minus y square orbitals are directly facing the point negative ligands. Hence, greater repulsion increases the energy of dz square and dx square minus y square orbitals. Now, look at these three pictures. dxy, dyz, dz square orbitals are not directly facing the ligands. They are equally far from the ligands. Hence, lesser repulsion decreases the energy of these d orbitals from that in the case of spherical field. So, as a whole, we can say that in the first step, energy of the d orbitals rises from here to here. Next, in the second step, splitting of d orbitals occur. Energy of dz square and dx square minus y square orbitals increases to this level, and energy of dxy, dyz and dzx orbitals decreases to this level. Hence, the d orbitals lost degeneracy in the octahedral crystal field. The upper level has two-fold degeneracy and the lower level has three-fold degeneracy. You know, lobes of p orbitals are oriented towards the vertices of the octahedron. That is, all the p orbitals are directly facing the ligands. And for that, they are equally affected by the octahedral crystal field. Hence, the degeneracy of p orbitals is retained under the octahedral crystal field. From this discussion, we see that among the atomic orbitals of metal ion, only the d orbitals lost degeneracy under octahedral crystal field. The energy of dz square and dx square minus y square orbitals increases, and the energy of dxy, dyz and dzx orbitals decreases compared to the spherical crystal field. Now concentrate on this part of this diagram, that is on the splitting of d orbitals in anisotropic field. You know, these boxes represent the d orbitals of metal ion in isotropic field. Under the influence of octahedral crystal field, these are split into two energy levels. In the group theory description, the upper energy level is designated as Eg level and the lower energy level is designated as T2G level. You see, this upper level has twofold degeneracy. In the Eg description, E stands for the double-fold or twofold degeneracy. The lower level has threefold degeneracy, that is, in this group, 3 d orbitals are present. In the T2G description, T stands for the triple-fold or threefold degeneracy. G stands for G-radii orbitals. You know, G-radii orbitals are those having center of inversion when present in a molecule already have center of inversion. D orbital has center of inversion and a octahedral molecule also has center of inversion. So in octahedral complex, all the d orbitals are G-radii orbitals. That's why the G term is present here and here. You know, tetrahedral complex has no center of inversion. So in tetrahedral complex, d orbitals are not G-radii. The energy of each electrons present in d orbitals under the spherical crystal field is represented as capital E. That is, if one electron present here, the energy is on E. If 2 electrons present here, the total energy is 2E, and so on. This energy level, that is the energy of d orbitals under spherical crystal field, is known as barycenter. This is the center of these two energy levels. The energy difference between Eg and T2G level is called crystal field splitting energy, and it is denoted as 10 dq or del. Here the subscript naught or O represent the octahedral field. The crystal field splitting energy, that is del naught, it is the magnitude of this gap. It is depends on the nature of ligands and metal or metal ion. For a particular ion, strong field ligand gives high crystal field splitting energy and weak field ligand gives low crystal field splitting energy. This gap, that is the gap, the energy difference between Eg level and barycenter is plus 6 dq or plus 0.6 del naught. Once again, look here, 10 dq is equivalent to del naught. So we can write here plus 6 dq is equal to plus 0.6 del naught. The energy difference between T2G level and barycenter is minus 4 dq or minus 0.4 del naught. That is, the electrons which reside at T2G level are stabilized by this amount of energy. Now come to more details. As I already told you, energy of each electron in isotropic field is equal to E. Now, energy of each electron present in each level is equal to this plus this. That is, it is equal to E plus 0.6 del naught. Similarly, energy of each electron present in T2G level is equal to this plus this, which is E minus 0.4 del naught. From this, it is clear that when an electron present in T2G level gets stabilized and when present in EG level gets destabilized compared to spherical crystal field. The total energy of the electrons under spherical crystal field is denoted as E isotropic, and total energy of the electrons under anisotropic field is denoted as E anisotropic. The energy difference between E isotropic and E anisotropic is called crystal field stabilization energy, and the amount of energy by which the electrons get stabilized in anisotropic field compared to isotropic field is called crystal field stabilization energy. In short, CFSE. CFSE equal to E isotropic minus E anisotropic. Now take few examples. First, consider the complexes in which the electronic configuration of the central metal ion is D1. For example, complexes of Sc2 plus ion. In the spherical crystal field, the d orbital electronic configuration is this. In the octahedral field, these d orbitals split into Eg and T2G level. In presence of strong field ligand such as Cn-, the splitting looks like this. And in presence of weak field ligand such as I-, the splitting looks like this. In case of strong field ligand, crystal field splitting energy, that is, this gap is higher than that of weak field ligand, that is, higher than this gap. These are two separate cases. This side is for ScCn6 4- complex, and this side is for ScI6 4- complex. In octahedral crystal field, this electron goes to the lower energy T2G set of orbitals. So the electronic configuration is T2G1 Eg0. There is no electron in the Eg level, and this is true for both cases. Now, E isotropic is equal to E because only one electron present here. You know, each electron has energy E in isotropic field. And E anisotropic is equal to E minus 0.4 del naught because one electron present in the T2G level, and energy of each electron present in this level is E minus 0.4 del naught. So the crystal field splitting energy, that is CFSE, is equal to E isotropic minus E anisotropic, which is equal to 0.4 del naught. Now come to magnetic property of this type of complex. In both cases, one unpaired electron is present. Look here and here. So both the complex, that is, both the strong field and weak field complex, are paramagnetic in nature. Again, you know, spin only magnetic moment mu s is equal to root of n into n plus 2 Bohr magneton, where n is the number of unpaired electron. Hence, the spin only magnetic moment is equal to root 3 Bohr magneton. Now come to D2 system. In the spherical crystal field, electronic arrangement of d orbital is this. In presence of strong field ligand, the d orbital splitting is this, and in presence of weak field ligand, the d orbital splitting is this. Both the d electrons fill in the T2G level, maintaining the maximum number of unpaired electrons. Hence, the electronic configuration of D2 system under the octahedral crystal field is T2G to EG0. In the spherical crystal field, energy of each electron is E. Here 2 electrons present, so the E isotropic is equal to 2E. In the T2G level, energy of each electron is E minus 0.4 del naught. Here 2 electrons present, so E anisotropic is equal to 2 into E minus 0.4 del naught. Hence, the crystal field stabilization energy, that is CFSE, is equal to 0.8 del naught. 2 unpaired electrons are present in both the strong field and weak field. So these complexes are paramagnetic in nature. Spin only magnetic moment mu s is equal to √8 Bohr magneton. This way, the D3 system like V2 plus splits under the octahedral field like this. Here, T2G level has 3 unpaired electrons, but the EG level has no electron. So the electronic configuration under the octahedral crystal field is T2G3 EG0, and E isotropic is equal to 3E and E anisotropic is equal to 3 into E minus 0.4 del naught. So the crystal field stabilization energy in this case is 1.2 del naught. In the both cases, 3 unpaired electrons are present. So the spin only magnetic moment is equal to √15 Bohr magneton. Now look at D4 system. In presence of strong field, splitting of d orbitals is this, and in presence of weak field, splitting of d orbitals is this. In strong field, the fourth electron paired up in T2G level, but in weak field, the fourth electron goes to upper EG level. So in case of strong field, the number of unpaired electrons reduces. In spherical field, 4 unpaired electrons, but here only 2 unpaired electrons. Because of that, the strong field octahedral complexes are called low spin complex. In case of weak field, there are possible maximum number of unpaired electrons. Look here, there are 3 plus 1, total 4 unpaired electrons. Because of that, the weak field octahedral complexes are called high spin complex. Now the question is, why the electrons get paired up here but not here? Basically, pairing of electrons depend on pairing energy and crystal field splitting energy. You are already familiar with the crystal field splitting energy. Now, let's come and see what is pairing energy. Pairing energy is the energy required to pair up 2 electrons in a single orbital, and it is denoted as capital P. If you placed 2 electrons in a single orbital, then there will be a repulsion between the electrons, and this repulsion depends on the size of the orbital. Small repulsion in the large orbital and large repulsion in small orbital. Besides this repulsion, pairing of electrons reduces the exchange energy. So, the pairing energy is composed of 2 terms, namely Coulombic repulsion and loss of exchange energy. For a given metal ion, pairing energy is constant. It does not vary with the ligand. With increasing the oxidation state of a metal ion, the size of the orbitals reduces. So there will be a greater Coulombic repulsion. Hence, with increasing the oxidation state of a metal ion, pairing energy increases. In the periodic table, if you descend along a group, you will find the higher congeners of a group. Higher congeners have big size of orbitals. Look here, 4d orbital is bigger than 3d orbital. So the electron-electron Coulombic repulsion is less in 4d orbital compared to 3d orbital. Hence, in a group, with increasing the number of period, pairing energy decreases. In general, pairing energy P varies in between 200 to 400 kilojoule per mole depending on the metal or metal ion. Now back to T4 system. Two different cases arise here. In the strong octahedral field, electronic configuration is T2G4 Eg0, and in the weak octahedral field, electronic configuration is T2G3 Eg1. This happens when the crystal field splitting energy greater than the pairing energy. Any electronic configuration always favor possible low energy state. So, if this pairing energy is less than this energy gap, then the electrons get paired up here and gives low spin complex. That's why the strong field ligands give low spin complex. In the case of weak octahedral field, the pairing energy is greater than the crystal field splitting energy. So, in this case, if the electron goes to the Eg level, that will be the low energy configuration. And that's why the electronic configuration is T2G3 Eg1, which gives maximum number of unpaired electrons. And the complex is high spin complex. In general, the weak field ligands give high spin complex. Now, come to crystal field stabilization energy. Under strong octahedral field, E isotropic is 4E and E anisotropic is 4 into E minus 0.4 del naught plus P. You know, the energy of each electron present in T2G level is E minus 0.4 del naught. Here is 4 electrons. That's why here 4 into E minus 0.4 del naught. Extra P comes from this pairing. So the CFSE under strong octahedral field is 1.6 del naught minus P. Under weak octahedral field, E anisotropic is equal to 3 into E minus 0.4 del naught plus 1 into E plus 0.6 del naught. Look here, T2G level has 3 electrons. That's why this 3 into E minus 0.4 del naught. And EG level has 1 electron. From this, E plus 0.6 del naught comes. And then the CFSE under weak octahedral field is E isotropic minus E anisotropic, which is equal to 0.6 del naught. If you consider the magnetic property of these compounds, you will find them as paramagnetic because both have unpaired electrons. Under strong octahedral field, 2 unpaired electrons, and under weak octahedral field, 4 unpaired electrons. So, the spin-only magnetic moment of low spin complex is √8 Bohr magneton, and the spin-only magnetic moment of high spin complex is √24 Bohr magneton. Now concentrate on a special case, case 3, where the crystal field splitting energy is equal to pairing energy. If this happens, then the low spin complex and high spin complex remain in equilibrium. The equilibrium may shift at right or left depending upon the temperature and pressure. The crystal field splitting energy, which is equal to the pairing energy, is called critical crystal field splitting energy. Like pairing energy, it is the characteristic property of a metal or metal ion. Crystal field splitting energy above the critical crystal field splitting energy gives low spin complex, and the crystal field splitting energy below critical crystal field splitting energy gives high spin complex. At critical crystal field, the high spin and low spin equilibrium changes with the temperature. In high spin complex, the electron goes to EG set of orbitals. These two are EG set of orbitals and their lobes are directly facing the point negative ligands. When the electrons comes here, then there is the repulsion between the electrons and point negative ligands. This repulsion causes longer metal ligand distance. Hence, the volume of the complex increases. Another hand, in low spin complex, electrons fill in the T2G set of orbitals. These three are T2G set of orbitals and lobes of these orbitals are not directly facing the point negative ligands. So here ligand electron repulsion is less compared to high spin complex. Lesser repulsion causes shorter metal ligand distance. Hence, volume of complex decreases. At high temperature, volume increases. It is possible when the equilibrium shifted towards the high spin complex. Similarly, at low temperature, volume decreases, and it is only possible when the equilibrium shifted towards the low spin complex. As a whole, we can conclude that with increasing the temperature, this equilibrium shifted towards high spin complex, and with decreasing the temperature, this equilibrium shifted towards low spin complex. Now, on the basis of this concept, try to solve this problem. Why the magnetic moment of an octahedral monothiocarbamate complex of Fe3+ dropped from 5.8 Bohr magneton at 300 K to 4 Bohr magneton at 78 K. Like D4 system, D5 system forms low spin complex under strong octahedral field and forms high spin complex under weak octahedral field. In low spin complex, E anisotropic is equal to 5 into E minus 0.4 del naught plus 2p. Here, two pairs of electrons are present, and for that, this 2p comes. Then the crystal field stabilization energy is 2 del naught minus 2p. In high spin complex, E anisotropic is equal to 3 into E minus 0.4 del naught plus 2 into E plus 0.6 del naught. So the crystal field stabilization energy is 0. In low spin complex, only one pair of electrons is present. Hence, its spin only magnetic moment is √3 Bohr magneton. And in high spin complex, 5 unpaired electrons are present. So, its spin only magnetic moment is √35 Bohr magneton. This way, DC system forms low spin complex and high spin complex. In low spin complex, all the electrons present in T2G level. Here, E isotropic is equal to 6E plus B. Look here. In spherical crystal field, one electron pair is present, and for that, the p terms comes into E isotropic. E anisotropic is equal to 6 into E minus 0.4 del naught plus 3p. So, CFSE is 2.4 del naught minus 2p. In high spin complex, 4 electrons are present in T2G level and 2 electrons are present in EG level. Hence, E anisotropic is equal to 4 into E minus 0.4 del naught plus P plus 2 into E plus 0.6 del naught. This P comes for this pair of electrons. Hence, CFSE is equal to 0.4 del naught. The low spin complex has no unpaired electrons, so it is diamagnetic in nature. Its spin only magnetic moment is 0. The high spin complex has 4 unpaired electrons, so it is paramagnetic in nature. Its spin only magnetic moment is root 24 Bohr magneton. In the low spin complex of D7 system, 7 electron goes to Eg level. Its electronic arrangement is T2G6 Eg1. E anisotropic is equal to this, and crystal field stabilization energy is 1.8 del naught minus P. In case of high spin complex, electronic arrangement is T2G5 Eg2. The expressions of E isotropic and E anisotropic are these. Crystal field stabilization energy is 0.8 del naught. Here, one thing keep in your mind that this del naught and this del naught are not same. Magnitude of this del naught is very much higher than this del naught. This way, you can get the electronic arrangements, crystal field stabilization energy, and magnetic moment of D8, D9, and D9 systems under strong and weak octahedral field. And try this. In the meantime, I am taking a short break. Welcome back. Now concentrate on splitting of metal orbitals in tetrahedral crystal field. Like octahedral field, the energy of the central metal ion orbitals changes in two steps. In step 1, spherical negative cloud of point negative ligands rises the energy of metal orbitals. In this step, it is supposed that the negative cloud of ligands approaches towards the metal ion spherically. The repulsion between this cloud and the metal ion orbitals homogeneously increases the energy of orbitals, and because of that, energy of d orbitals of free metal ion jumps from here to here, but retain the degeneracy. This way, the energy of other valency orbitals increases in this step. In reality, the negative cloud of ligands is not spherically symmetrical around the metal ion. Some metal orbitals are nearer to the ligands and some orbitals are far from the ligands, which creates anisotropic field. To understand this, first visualize a tetrahedral complex in a cube. If you kept a tetrahedral complex in a cube like this, then you will find the ligands at the alternative corners of the cube. Look here. The ligands are placed here, 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 and here. Consider the length of each arm of the cube is small a. That is, this is A and this is also A. Then the length of this diagonal is root 2a. Now consider the dz square orbital inside this cube, such a way that its lobes just touches the surface of the cube. Then the distance between this lobe and the nearest ligand is root 2a by 2. This way, you will find that the lobes of dz square and dx square minus y square orbitals are root 2a by 2 distance apart from the nearest point negative ligand. Now, consider dzx orbital inside the cube. This ligand is nearer to this lobe and this ligand is nearer to this lobe. So, the distance between a lobe and its nearest ligand is a by 2. This distance is the halfway of this arm. This way, you will find that the lobes of dyz, dxy and dxz orbitals are a by 2 distance apart from the nearest ligand. Compare this with the dz square and dx square minus y square. Look here. These are a by 2 distance apart from the nearest ligand, but these are root 2a by 2 distance apart. So, the repulsion between the metal orbital and point negative ligand is higher for this set of orbitals compared to this set of orbitals. Because of that, splitting of d orbitals occurs in a tetrahedral crystal field. dyz, dxy, dxz are the high energy orbitals and dx square minus y square dz square orbitals are the low energy orbitals. So as a whole, in the isotropic field, energy of d orbitals increases. In the anisotropic field, energy of this set of orbitals further increases and energy of this set of orbitals decreases. Hence, the d orbitals lost degeneracy in tetrahedral field. In case of p orbitals, all the p orbitals are equally far from the nearest ligands. Hence, p orbitals retain degeneracy in tetrahedral crystal field. Now, concentrate on this part of this diagram. Under tetrahedral crystal field, d orbitals split into two energy levels. The upper energy level has threefold degeneracy and the lower energy level has twofold degeneracy. In group theory description, this level is defined as T2 level and this level is defined as E level. Here, G term is omitted because tetrahedral complex has no center of symmetry. Energy of each electron present in spherical crystal field is E, capital E, and this level of energy is known as barycenter. The energy difference between T2 and E level is called crystal field splitting energy under tetrahedral crystal field, and it is denoted as 10 dq or del T. Here T stands for tetrahedral field. The energy difference between T2 level and barycenter is plus 4 dq or 0.6 T, and the energy difference between E level and barycenter is minus 6 dq or minus 0.6 del T. You know, energy of each electron present in spherical field is capital E. Now, energy of each electron present in T2 level is equal to this plus this, that is E plus 0.4 del T, and energy of each electron present in E level is equal to this plus this, which is E minus 0.6 del T. Now come to a very important relation between octahedral and tetrahedral crystal field splitting energy. Later, this relation will help you to understand the most preferable geometry. For a given set of metal ion and ligand, del T is equal to 4 by 9 del naught. That is, octahedral crystal field splitting energy is very much higher than the tetrahedral crystal field splitting energy. You know, in octahedral complex, 6 ligand metal orbital interaction. But in tetrahedral complex, 4 ligand metal orbital interactions. So this is one of the reasons of this relation. Because of low crystal field splitting energy in tetrahedral complex, del T is always less than the pairing energy. And for that, all the tetrahedral complexes are high spin complex, but there are few exceptions. In tetrahedral crystal field, complexes having central metal ion electronic configuration d1 splits into this way. The only electron goes to low energy E level, and the electronic configuration in this anisotropic field is E1 T20. E isotropic is E and E anisotropic is E minus 0.6 del T. CFSE is 0.6 del T. For D2 system, both the electrons present in E level. The electronic configuration is E2 T2 0. E anisotropic is 2 into E minus 0.6 del T, and the CFSE is 1.2 del T. When the central metal ion has 3 electrons in D subshell, then the third electron goes to T2 level. You know, in tetrahedral complex, pairing energy is greater than the crystal field splitting energy. So pairing of electrons never happen until all the E level and T level orbitals are singly occupied. In this case, electronic configuration is E2 T2 and E anisotropic is 2 into E minus 0.6 del T plus 1 into E plus 0.4 del T. This term is for this 2 electron and this term is for this upper level electron, and CFSE is 0.8 del T. In the case of D6 system, electronic distribution in tetrahedral field is E3 T2 3. After filling 5 orbitals by 1 electron is the 6th electron paired up in the low energy E level, and E anisotropic is 3 into E minus 0.6 del T plus 3 into E plus 0.4 del T plus P. This P comes for this electron pair, and CFSE is 0.6 del T. In the case of D8 system, electronic distribution is E4 T2 4. Then the E anisotropic is equal to this. This 3p comes from these two and these electron pairs. CFSE is 0.8 del T. This way you can calculate the CFSE and magnetic property of other D systems in tetrahedral crystal field by considering all the tetrahedral complex as high spin complex. There are few exceptions where low spin tetrahedral complexes are formed. This is one of the rare example of low spin tetrahedral complex. Look at this picture. Here L is this big size ligand. In this complex, among these big size ligands, heavy steric hindrance will occur, and the crystal field splitting energy increases sharply. As a result, pairing energy becomes less than the crystal field splitting energy, and finally low spin tetrahedral complex is formed. Now come to last section of today's lecture, that is splitting of d orbitals in square planar complex. To understand this splitting, first consider the octahedral crystal field splitting. You know, under octahedral crystal field, energy of this set of orbitals increases and energy of this set of orbital decreases. Now consider elongated octahedral complex. This is elongated octahedral structure. Look here. Axial metal ligand bond lengths, that is this distance and this distance, are less than these 4 bond length. If you remove these 2 ligands from this complex, then it will be a square planar complex. You can say this is intermediate of octahedral and square planar geometry. In this geometry, the d orbitals which have lobes on the xy plane enjoy more divulsion from the ligands compared to the d orbitals which have no lobes on the xy plane. So, in elongated octahedral complex, energy of dx square minus y square orbital increases and energy of dz square orbital decreases. Among dyz, dxy and dxz orbitals, lobes of dxy orbital lying on the xy plane. So energy of dxy orbital increases and energy of dyz and dxz orbital decreases. Now come to final step of square planar geometry formation from octahedral geometry. Just you remove these upper and lower ligands from the elongated octahedral geometry, then it will be a square planar geometry. In this case, no ligands along z-axis, so energy of dz square orbital further decreases and energy of dx square minus y square increases. Energy of dx square minus y square orbital rises up here and energy of dz square orbital goes down here. This way, energy of dxy orbital further increases and rises up here. The lobes of dxy orbital are on the xy plane but not pointed to the ligands. That's why the dx square minus y square orbital is here and dxy orbital is here. The energy of dyz and dxz orbitals goes down to here. Imagine the picture of dz square, dyz and dxz orbitals. Then you will find a circular loop of dz square orbital on the xy plane. That's why the dz square orbital is here and dyz and dxz orbitals are here. This line represents the barycenter. In group theory description, this dx square minus y square orbital is defined as b on g, dxy as b2g, dz square as a on g, and dyz, dxz as eg level. Now concentrate on this part of this diagram. So this is the splitting of d orbitals in square planar crystal field. The energy difference between dx square minus y square and barycenter is 12.28 dQo. You know, 10 dQo is the octahedral crystal field splitting energy. In terms of octahedral crystal field energy for a particular set of ligand and metal ion, this energy difference is 12.28 dQo. The energy difference between dyz, dxz set of orbitals and barycenter is minus 5.14 dQo. The energy gap between dxy and barycenter is 2.28 dQo. And energy difference between dz square and barycenter is minus 4.28 dQo. The square planar crystal field splitting energy is this energy gap. This is equal to this gap plus this gap, which is equal to 12.28 dQo plus 5.14 dQo. That is equal to 17.42 dQo. Again, you know 10 dQo is equal to del naught. So 17.42 dQo is equal to 1.742 del O. So we can say square planar crystal field splitting energy is equal to 1.742 multiplied by the octahedral crystal field splitting energy. Now consider the energy of electrons present in each level. Energy of an electron present in B on G level is E plus 12.28 dQo. Energy of each electron present in B2G level is E plus 2.28 dQo. Energy of each electron present in A1G level is E minus 4.28 dQo. And finally, energy of each electron present in EG level is E minus 5.14 dQo. Among B2G, A1G and EG level energy difference are not so high. Look here, between A1G and EG level energy difference is only 0.86 dQo. And between B2G and A1G energy difference is 6.56 dQo. Hence, electrons occupy B2G, A1G and EG levels to produce maximum number of unpaired electrons, like high-spin complex in octahedral field. The energy difference between B1G and B2G level is 10 dQo. Look here, this is 12.28 dQo and this is 2.28 dQo. So energy difference between these two levels is very high. So electron comes into B1G level after completely filling the B2G, A1G and EG levels. Electrons comes here for D9 and D10 systems. This is a crystal field splitting of square planar complex where the central metal ion is a D4 system. The 4 electrons occupy Eg, A1g and B2g levels to produce maximum number of unpaired electrons. In this case, E anisotropic is this. So the crystal field stabilization energy is 12.28 dQo. Here, 4 unpaired electrons are present, hence spin-only magnetic moment is √24 Bohr magneton. Now consider square planar complex where the central metal ion is a D8 system. In this case, 8 electrons get paired up into these 3 energy levels. No electron goes to beyond G level. E anisotropic is this. This 4p comes from these 4 electrons paired. And the CFSE is 24.56 dQo minus P. Here, no unpaired electron is present. So the spin-only magnetic moment is 0. In case of D9 system, 8 electrons first completely fill these Eg, A1g and B2g levels, then the 9th electron comes to B1g level. E anisotropic is this and CFSE is 12.28 dQ. Here, one unpaired electron is present. So these types of compounds are paramagnetic in nature. That's all about crystal field splittings under octahedral, tetrahedral and square planar crystal field. In the next class, we will discuss about gentler distortion and DD transitions. So, hope you all the best. Thank you for your kind attention.